Emma.
Yes, Madelyn.
What do you call it when you trade a Wii for a DS?
I don't know. What do you call it?
A Nintendo Switch!
Hello, and welcome to a new episode of Talk This.
It's dangerous to podcast alone.
I'm one of your hosts, Emma.
And I'm your other host, Madelyn, and this is a special Miami edition of Talk This.
Yes, we are down in the South.
If we sound a little bit warmer today, it's because of that warm Miami weather.
Yeah.
Despite the fact we got soaked in cold rain.
Yeah.
But still, just feel that extra humidity, that warm Miami breeze as you listen to us wherever you are today. On this week's episode of Talk This, we're going to be talking about Fire Emblem and The Witness.
Yes.
We have a lot of experience with Fire Emblem.
Not so much with The Witness, but it's an interesting game, and I think there'll still be things to talk about.
More like The Witless, am I right?
No.
Okay, so let's jump in with Fire Emblem.
Yeah. We got these games. Well, we got the GBA games, the first ones that came over to the West, I guess when we were like 10-ish. I think our dad gave them to us because there were two of them, so we each got one.
Yeah, we got Fire Emblem and we got Fire Emblem Sacred Stones.
Yeah, the one that's called Fire Emblem in the West is technically Fire Emblem The Blazing Sword. But since they hadn't released one previously, they just decided to call it Fire Emblem. Because I guess that's catchier.
Well, it would have been confusing. If you go into the store and you see Fire Emblem, The Blazing Sword, you're going to think it's a sequel.
I don't know if that's true. But...
Well, as the Witless here at Talk This, that's what I was going to think.
Yeah.
So we had the GBA games. I think you played more of Fire Emblem.
Yes, the better game.
Wow. Harsh.
Well, it's not the better game, but I think it's the harder game, honestly.
It's longer,
and you don't get the chance to train your units outside of the main chapter battles.
But there are like 3 stories in that game.
Yeah, like there's 3 different. There's the prologue storyline where you follow Lynn, that they introduced as a tutorial as they're like bringing it to the West. They were like thinking about bringing it, so they're like, we have to introduce all the mechanics.
So was that not in the Japanese
version?
version?
No, it was, and the people, I remember, I think I read somewhere, like, people in Japan were like, what the hell is this? Like, why is this so dumb? I know how to do all this already.
Hashtag the Witless.
Yeah, but then you follow Lynn for, like, the first 10 chapters, and then for the first time you play it, you play Eliwood's story, and then the second time you play it through, you can choose to play Hector's story, which is mostly the same as Eliwood's story, but there's a few extra chapters and a few chapters that are different.
I'm pretty sure I only ever made it through Eliwood.
Yeah. How
good would Eliwood be for a dog name?
That is a good dog name, actually.
Eliwood! Eliwood! I would have support conversations with my dog.
Uh-huh.
That's honestly my favorite part of Fire Emblem.
Yeah.
I realize that's, like... That's bad. That's bad for the girl gamer to come out and be like, my favorite part of Fire Emblem is making the characters fall in love.
Well, the thing is, though, I don't like the more recent versions, interpretations of make the characters fall in love.
What do you mean?
Right? Well, in the original game, in the GBA games, the support conversations were limited. You could only have 5. So that means you get to an A support with someone and a B support with someone else, or you could have 5 C support conversations. But the thing was, because it was limited, they could make support conversations actually matter, right? Mm-hmm. They could have them make some effect on the character. Whereas these days, you can have as many as you want, so no matter what growth a character goes through in one support conversation, they're back to stage 1 in another conversation. Because... like, they just pick, like, 3 different personality traits to focus on, and that's the basis for every single support conversation that they have. Whereas in the old ones, sometimes it actually affected the story of the character in a way that was actually interesting, you know? So it's, like, these days it's just, like, weird, like, nothing against dating sims, but just a dating sim, essentially. It's like a dating sim on top of a turn-based tactics
Except
game.
that you can date like 10 people at once. I feel like that's not encouraged in most dating sims.
Well, that's also the thing, is that there's no natural progression to romance in a lot of the support conversations. Because there can't be. Because if you have an S conversation with one person and then you get to A and they're like flirting, you can't do that, you know? But in the ones where there's limited, you can actually have a progression that makes sense because it doesn't conflict with anything else in any major way.
Also, I appreciate in the old games that like the top support level wasn't always like we get married.
Yeah, sometimes it was like in Sacred Stones, there's one support conversation where I think it's like Amelia is one of the units you have, and you talk to Dusel, and he finds like her mother girl, for her,
Lance girl. Yeah.
Or in the Fire Emblem, there's one where one of your archers finds her lost long brother in one of your pirates.
But yeah, sure.
Long lost brother.
Her lost long brother.
So it's just like, it's more interesting that way. Like, it doesn't always have to be like, oh, they fell in love, you know?
Well, but now you have to have the baby units.
Oh, the baby units are so weird. I talked about it in this week's side quest.
Last week's side quest. Whoa, time travel.
Yeah. Yeah, we're recording this the week before it's actually gonna go.
Spoiler alert. That's why I made the Nintendo Switch. By next week, the Nintendo Switch will be old news. AKA by today.
Yeah.
We're having a lot of trouble with time in this episode.
Yeah.
Just like the baby units in Fire Emblem.
Okay, so Awakening... It was like,
is that the one I played?
Like, at least there's some plot reason for these children to be here. It's with Crom and Lucina, and you're the tactician.
Yes,
that one.
That is the one I played.
Yeah. So at least there's some plot reason for the kids to be there, right? The future's ruined, and they've come back.
Yeah.
To save the past. Like, okay. I don't understand why all of them had to come back, but okay. But in the new one, you literally just have a child and then stick it in something called a deep realm, where apparently time passes faster.
It's a soap opera. It's a soap opera device.
They've been
doing it on The Young and the Restless for decades. So.
But it's just so ridiculous.
I mean, Fire Emblem basically is a little soap opera.
I mean, yeah.
It's like if you took The Young and the Restless and Game of Thrones and you mashed them together, you would have Fire Emblem.
That's true. Yeah. But
I mean, Game of Thrones is already sort of a soap opera, but Fire Emblem's like, if you take Game of Thrones, you tone it down to like a network soap opera level, then you have Fire Emblem.
Yeah. I feel like this is my one series where I'm like, oh, in the old days it was so much better, you know? Mm-hmm. Usually I'm not old enough to be able to say that about a game. I'm like, oh, I like the new ones. And they're like, oh, you never played the old ones.
The combat system hasn't changed too... Well, no, it has, because it confuses me. All the weapons now have, like, weird things of, like, actually, it's good against axes.
Yeah,
it's like I cannot keep track.
Or, like, there's certain, like, the silver weapons, like, now if you use them in the next turn, like, your stats go down. Or something. Like, using a weapon has an effect on the unit. So it is a lot more complicated now. But I also feel like it's just, like...
Well, it's arbitrarily complicated.
Yeah.
Why would using a silver weapon decrease your stats?
I don't know.
I have enough trouble keeping track of the triangles as it is.
Yeah. In the very newest one, there's like a ranged weapon triangle now too, because you have magic, daggers, or shuriken.
I think they had that in Awakening.
And
is Awakening the newest one? It's not. There's another one. I think they had that in Awakening.
But they didn't have 3 ranged things in Awakening.
Did they not?
They didn't have daggers.
Oh, okay. I'm thinking of, like, swords that you can throw.
Oh, yeah.
So maybe I'm wrong. But no, I have a hard time. It's like, why is it sword that's good against lance? Or is it the other way around?
It's good against sword.
You see?
Well, that makes sense.
Okay, but then why is axe good against lance?
Because it breaks it.
But it doesn't break it.
Yeah, but it's like, like it's too punny against the axe, whereas with the sword it can like swing past the sword.
It's too what?
Punny.
Puny?
Punny.
I'm punny.
Oh, puny. Whatever. My charming trait is that I mispronounce words. In my support conversations, that would be all it was about.
Hashtag the witless.
But really, the old games, I feel like, are harder in ways that feels more rewarding than just, like, arbitrarily challenging.
Well, yeah, I'm such a level grinder and, like, completionist. It's like, I want to get all the supports and, like, get all the kids up to the point where I can use them. And you kind of have to for the end of the game, or you're going to die.
Yeah.
And, of course, I do that thing where if somebody dies, I turn off the game.
Yeah.
I realize that it's dumb. I realize that I could just play the game on the setting that brings the characters back at the end of the level. Yeah. But, gosh darn it, I'm a perfectionist.
Yeah. And it's only the new ones that have the casual, because I think that
That's so lame. That's so passive-aggressive that they call it casual.
Oh, yeah. But I think that they thought that that's part of the reason why the games weren't as doing as well over here, maybe. Was that it was too hard?
I guess, but everyone I know plays it that way. That I remember in, like, middle school talking about this game with people and them being like, oh yeah, like, you turn it off, you gotta turn it off.
Yeah. I don't know.
It's part of the challenge. It's like, honestly, I would love to have a setting so I wouldn't feel like I was, like, you know, like, being, like, a little wimp when I turn off the game. I wish there was a setting that was like, if you killed any character, it just ended for you.
I think the games that first came over here do a really good job of also making each character their own little special snowflake that you care about, right? Mm-hmm. Even if you like don't like them as much and don't use them, you're still like, oh, but I can't let Bartrey die. Like, I'm never gonna use him again, but I can't let him die.
The reason that my characters die so often is I have these, like, arbitrary support pairings, like, wandering around all the time. It's like, why am I sending, like, wussy little villager dude to the front line? Well, I'm pairing him up with my paladin lady.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I can't keep track of the magic triad either. Is it like light good against dark, or is dark good against light?
Light is good against dark.
Why isn't dark good against light?
Because light defeats the dark.
Okay, why is dark good against
anima?
Yeah. It's like rock, paper, scissors. Some of it's a little arbitrary.
It's like rock, paper, scissors.
Why does paper cover rock?
Yeah. Yeah.
If anyone has a good answer for that, let me know.
Yeah.
That's really the question. Like, Fire Emblem, fine. I can wave my hand and say, sure, dark beats anima, but why does paper cover rock?
Yeah. But yeah, I really love those. I love those games.
Yeah, they're super fun.
I still play them sometimes.
They're definitely a good, and they hold up. It's like, that's the thing. Some Game Boy and GBA games you go back to and you're like, this isn't fun anymore. The graphics are so bad and the gameplay doesn't run the way it should. Mm-hmm. And it's just not fun. But these games hold up.
Well, that's because most of the scenes are just, like, anime drawings of the characters, like, on opposite sides of the screen. Yeah. Right?
I don't like the new, like, every once in a while in the newer games, they have scenes that are, like, actually in real time.
Like anime scenes?
And I don't like it.
Really?
It's a little, I just don't expect it. It's always like, oh, here's a scene I can't skip through at the speed that I read it.
Yeah. And then you have map sprites and battle sprites, which, you know, aren't super realistic, but they're not trying to be either. Yeah. You know, they're more sort of
But that's another
stylized.
thing. It's like they've made the fights now a little bit more realistic when they come up on the screen. It's like, I don't have time for this. Like, I'm trying to get this level finished, and it's taking a lot longer than I wanted.
You can turn them off. The battle animations.
I know you can, but I don't need them in the first place.
I like the new battle animations. I think it's neat how as your character gets more injured, like they get like dirty.
That's fine. I can deal with that. I just don't like the extended like I'm going to cast a spell and I'm casting it and time to cast.
Well, they still did that in the other ones too. They like every time one of the dark whatever they were called, the dark mages, that's not what they're called, but whenever they used flux, I was like, oh my god. Oh yeah,
it does take, because it goes underground.
Oh my god. And also because they're just slow units in general, so they just go, they lift their arms like.
Wow, do that sound in effect again for the viewers at home.
And every time
they were full on hand motions. Emma acted it out too, so if only this was a vlog.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, but there's something classic about the old ones, like, whenever there was, like, it did no damage to you, like, now they block it, right? They're like, ooh, block. But before, they would just stand there and take it.
Yeah.
Which is it's just funny.
They don't feel it.
Yeah, they just, like, it still stabs through them, but it's, like, no damage.
Mm-hmm.
It's too tough for it now.
So funny. I wish there were more games like Fire Emblem.
Like tactics games?
Kinda. Tactics games that aren't impossible.
Mm-hmm.
I really like tactic-y games. Like, I like Fire Emblem. I love Civilization. I love Age of Mythology.
Yeah.
I realize those aren't exactly the same, but they feel like they live in the same kind of world of strategy games. I just wish there were more that were good.
Mm-hmm.
Or that just weren't, like, frustratingly overly complicated.
Yeah.
Like, Fire Emblem feels like a button masher in difficulty a little bit, because mostly you mash the buttons a lot during the fights and hope that it helps. But
I feel like, I don't know, I feel like that might be something born from experience playing it, though. Like, I feel like I know what to do, so it's sort of like muscle memory at this point when I'm playing the games. When it might have been more difficult when I was first playing it and figuring it out.
I guess, and maybe that's true now of the newer games that have gotten a lot more complicated and have a lot more to deal with, right? Mm-hmm. You not only have to be like, lances are good against swords, but you have to be like, is this killer lance, like, is this a problem? Like, I guess the killer lance was always a little bit, whatever. Is this, like,
killing edges will always break the game. You get a
mercenary
or Myrmidon with the killing edge.
But no, it's like, you don't have to worry about, is this, like, silver sword of Goron, like, a bad choice?
I don't think there's a silver sword of Goron.
Goron is a Zelda character, right?
That's Gandor.
No, there's a Goron, too. It's like the little rock guys that live up on the mountain, I think. But no, I think if you give someone the original, or the US original, or Sacred Stones, even, it's not that hard to figure out. They have the whole tutorial, the impossibly slow tutorial that walks you through it all.
But I mean, there's a lot of thinking that goes into it, like, as opposed to, like...
I'm not saying there's not, but that's what I'm saying. That's what I like, is that the controls aren't difficult.
Yeah.
But, like, the thinking is.
Yeah.
It's like it's like almost like the beginning of that sort of Telltale-y kind of game.
Oh my gosh. You feel like you always compare the games to Telltale games.
I'm excited but it is a little. It's like you don't really do any of the gameplay. You know, you just like move here and attack with this.
Okay, that's gameplay, but go on.
But you don't like have to like actually do the fighting. My least favorite part of games is actually having to like figure out how to shoot the gun.
Oh my gosh.
You know?
Sure.
I appreciate games that are still fun, even though I don't have to figure out, like, hold R1, press down the left stick, and hit square.
Yeah, well, shooting is never that complicated, but whatever.
Okay, it feels that complicated.
It's usually like that.
It feels that complicated.
It's usually like the R1 or R2 button.
I would love Fire Emblem to branch out into, like, a game that's set in a different kind of world.
Like urban fantasy?
Sure, yeah. Like gangsters.
Yeah, there's not a lot. Well, there's Yakuza for gangsters, but that's not like Fire Emblem like.
But I just literally want Fire Emblem to be like, all right, we've done enough in this like same fantasy kingdom. I know it's not the same kingdom, but might as well be.
Yeah.
Let's go to pirates. I know there are pirates in Fire Emblem, but you know what I mean. Like, let's go to battles on the high seas.
There's usually a battle on the high seas.
I mean literally with ships.
That would be awful.
But you've got, like, a mercenary ship.
That'd be awful.
And a lance ship.
I'd say no.
Okay, fine. We'll move to, like, a steampunk thing.
Steampunk, sure.
Why must you shoot down my every idea?
I mean, in the one that they released that is also 3 games, the newest one, Fates, well, they got more Japanese with it, as opposed to, it's usually feel like a picture of fantasy, sort of medieval Europe.
Yeah, but this one's more like Shogun Age.
Yeah. Like, there's one kingdom that's more like Europe, and one kingdom that's more like Japan.
Well, that's interesting. I can get behind that. I mean, I think that's great. When was I talking? I feel like I was talking about, like, wanting more games with different lores.
Yeah.
A long time ago now. In some episode. Somebody let me know. It was God of War. It was God of Go.
Yeah.
That's when I was talking about it.
Or maybe Okami a little, too.
True. I'm all about diversifying our game sphere.
Yeah.
Because all of these Fire Emblem games, except that one, are set in, like, medieval Europe.
Yeah.
But magic.
Yeah.
So.
We have not played the ones that were on the Wii, or on the GameCube and the Wii.
Yeah.
Simply because we did not have a GameCube, and then the one for the Wii was a sequel to the one on the GameCube.
Mm-hmm.
But that's the one why there's now, like, a beast creature in every single one, because that one was all about, like, the war between, I can't remember what they were called, Beork, which were humans, and Laguz, which were beastmen.
Who came up with those names?
I don't know.
Have you heard about people starting the new one over, like, hundreds of times?
What?
Maybe, I think it was Fire Emblem. It was, no, because you can get, like, certain characters from the past, right?
Uh-huh.
Like, in this new game from past games that people liked so much.
Uh-huh.
But you get them with, like, random, like, ability stats, kind of.
Yeah.
And so people would start over and over and over and over to get the characters that they wanted.
Uh-huh. Oh, yeah, there's, like, a shop for them, which I also think is weird.
Well, it's like, yeah, either you can pay real money for it, or you can game the system and start it over and over and over until you get, like, I don't remember exactly what the terminology for it was, but till you get, like, the one that has, like, the highest base stats.
Yeah.
I don't have the patience for that. People do it with Pokemon, too.
Yeah.
So they'll get, like, a shiny starter. But I don't understand.
Yeah.
Like, I'm a completionist. I'm not that much of a completionist.
Yeah, and you don't necessarily need it. Like, you don't need these incredible break-the-world units to win the game, right?
I understand starting over if you get, like, a really wussy...
On the new ones, there's these really hard DLCs that are, like, impossible.
Yeah.
So that's the only thing I would think that you'd need to game the system to try to beat.
I would start over if I got a really wussy character that I hated in a previous game.
Yeah.
Like, I'd be willing to start over a couple of times if I got something really bad. But, like, over and over and over until you get the perfect unit of that girl with the boobs.
Yeah.
Like, no thank you.
Girl with the boobs.
No, that's what people were wanting. This girl is just, like... She's like the nymph in Sprite in Okami. Like, that sort of... shape.
What was I going to say? Oh, Nintendo's really doubling down on Fire Emblem right now, though.
That's great. I'm all about that.
They just released their mobile game, Fire Emblem Heroes, which is fine. I've been playing it. It's fine. Like, it's something to do to pass the time. They released Fire Emblem Warriors, which is like Hyrule Warriors, for the Switch, or is releasing. I don't know. I don't remember if it was a launch title. They're remaking one of their older games, one of their weird older games that's, like, has a bit of dungeon crawling elements in addition to, like...
That's interesting.
Yeah, so they're remaking that for the 3DS, and then they have a new game, and just, like, a new standard Fire Emblem in development for the Switch right now.
I'd like to see Fire Emblem, but with just all of Nintendo's characters. Like, Super Smash Bros. But...
Well, they're
Fire
in Super
Emblem.
Smash Bros.
I know that they're in Super Smash Bros.
Ike!
But I'd like to see it go the other way.
Ike! I'm such an Ike person. I don't know why. He's useless. Like, really, in comparison to some of the other things, he's really not that good. But
no, I just want to see, like, your Fire Emblem team is, like, Bowser and Peach and...
Bowser and Peach for Fire Emblem.
You know?
That'd be weird.
It'd be fun, though. It's like a mobile game, at least. Like,
Sure.
Like, Fire Emblem Switch. But for iOS. Dungeon crawling elements, really?
Yeah. You'll have to watch the trailer for it. It's on Amazon.
I'll check it out.
They did a whole, Nintendo does, like, live streams every once in a while.
Mm-hmm.
They did a whole one on Fire Emblem recently. So
speaking of dungeon crawling,
mm-hmm.
Let's jump to our second game, The Witness.
Yeah.
Or as I like to call it, The Witless.
I don't think that's speaking of dungeon crawling, though.
Well, it's like a maze puzzle game.
I guess. Well, I picture, like, dungeon crawling when you're, like, in a maze-like place and you have to, like, hit enemies before you enter battle.
Oh, see, I was thinking of more like dungeons in Legend of Zelda.
Oh, maybe like that, too. I guess that is also dungeon crawling. But there's not enemies to fight in The Witness, which is why I wouldn't call it a dungeon crawler.
Okay, fine. A dungeon explorer.
There you go. An island explorer.
Island explorer. That sounds like a cruise.
So The Witness came out 2016. It's got a lot of good recognition for its gameplay elements and its weirdness.
They worked on it for like a decade.
Well, like 8 years, I think. So Jonathan Blow, if you don't know Jonathan Blow, well, you should probably look him up. He's sort of, I don't know. He's like, so his first game he made, he's only made these 2 games, was Braid. And he made Braid entirely by himself. Like, he made it entirely by himself. He went into debt. He was sleeping on other people's couches, like, because he wanted, like, full sort of artistic control over it, right? So he made it himself, and it was really expensive, and, like, drove him into bankruptcy and stuff. But then it was a huge success, Braid. Like, it's like a side-scroller platformer thing. But I won't spoil the twist ending. But basically you're, like, trying to rescue a princess from an evil knight is what you think at the beginning. So sort of like Mario a little bit. But then it's got a twist that I won't spoil.
A Braid.
But The Witness he didn't make entirely by himself. He made it sort of with a small team. And so I don't think he drove himself quite to the levels he was before Braid. But it still took about 8 years.
Well, it was originally slated for 2013, and they were going to put it out on the PS3.
Yeah.
And it took too long, and their engine was too complicated.
Yeah.
So they pushed it back.
Yeah. So The Witness.
Also, fun fact: it sold as many copies in like its first like couple of weeks as Braid sold in a year.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
well, you know, once you start to get sort of like a you're famous, right? Like Braid made him famous eventually. And they're like, oh, it's the next game from this guy. I should buy it.
No, I get...
Even if you played Braid 2 years after it came out.
I get that. I just still think maybe you should have brought some people on that first time, huh, buddy?
I mean, yes, probably. I don't know. It
for
depends.
Your own sanity.
It's all on...
Couldn't somebody else have done, like, the boring, like,
we
animation
talked about this
shading?
in our class of, like, indie versus AAA studio. It's, like, stability versus creative control. And, like, where do you balance that in your own personal aspirations?
I just think...
Because, like, you can go work on Ubisoft and work on Assassin's Creed, like, keep working on Assassin's Creed every 3 years, switching to a new Assassin's Creed, and you're stable, you have a stable job, you have money, but, like, you're making Assassin's Creeds forever until the end of time.
I just think he could have brought on a couple of unpaid interns.
But he chose entire creative control over...
But that's dumb. There are dumb... Like, I get entire creative control over, like, what your game's gonna be about and the engine and,
well,
like...
But, okay, you can get that. That's where you fall on the stability versus creative control. I'm just saying that Jonathan Blow falls all the way at one end of the spectrum.
But he falls on the idiot end of the spectrum, because get a couple unpaid interns to sit with your computer while it renders the graphics.
That's the idea behind that is, like, they'll mess it up and he'll have to go back and fix it anyway, so it just will take more time. Right? I
understand, but that's also scary levels of control freak.
Yeah. Well, maybe he probably is scary levels of control freak, but you can't say that Braid wasn't a very well-made, very beautiful game.
No, that's fine. But how awful must it have been to have worked on The Witness under him?
I don't know. I won't speak for anybody. I've not met Jonathan Blow in person.
Give us anonymous tips.
Yeah.
Like 2 people who worked on it with him who obviously listened to Talk This. It's dangerous to podcast alone.
Yeah. But The Witness is definitely a much different game from Braid. Like we said, it's like a puzzle. It's a puzzle game.
Yeah. There are hundreds of puzzles. There are like 600 puzzles in this game.
And it sort of drops you into it with no explanation either, which is a gutsy move in a game. Like, not to, like, give you, like, what's going on? Who are these people? What's their mission?
With a puzzle game, that makes sense, though. It's like a meta puzzle.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's the idea, I think. That is, like, you have to figure it all out for yourself.
Okay.
I'm just saying that it's a gutsy move to do.
For those hashtag the witless people out there, just wanted to, make it all meta.
Yeah.
I'm trying to make a hashtag the witless happen.
Yeah.
It's what happens in this game when you can't solve a puzzle.
Yeah. Apparently, like, there's certain puzzles you have to do to, like, learn knowledge from that puzzle before you can do other puzzles.
It's an open world, right?
Yeah. Well, yeah. There's not, like, loading screens when you go through doors or anything.
Yeah.
But it's not open world, like, steal people's cars, hack their money.
Okay. I know. I wasn't going for that.
But even after you play it and after you finish it, generally the consensus I've seen is still, like, what's going on? Who knows? Because it's not really about the story, in a way. It's about your story.
Whoa. You are the witness.
Exactly.
Wow, Phoenix Wright in The Witness.
Nope. That would not work.
It's really just a Phoenix Wright game. He's running around trying to solve a crime.
Is it a ladder? No, it's a step ladder. What's the difference, Phoenix? What's the difference?
Oh, man.
I don't know if we mentioned, but there's a weird fixation in these games about what the difference between a step ladder and just a ladder is.
It must be a Japanese thing. I've never had any problems distinguishing between a step ladder and a ladder.
Well, that's the thing. They're like, people will just call a step ladder a ladder, and he'll be like, no, it's a step ladder. They're like,
that's very
odd.
So
it's a ladder.
That's a puzzle itself.
It's like a square and a rectangle.
They should make The Witness, do I have to say The Witness? Or is it just they should make The Witness?
To finish the sentence, I don't know.
Theme park.
No, they shouldn't. What?
No,
that's an escape the room game,
but
except on a bigger level.
But it's a huge escape the room game.
Okay.
I think I like escape the room. Like when did I do it? Last spring we did one, and it was super fun. But it's just too small.
Mm-hmm.
Like we finished with like 20 minutes to spare.
Yeah.
And I'd love an open world escape the room. How exciting would that be? It'd be like, we'll add it to our video game gym.
Your video
complex.
Game gym complex. Wellness center.
Well,
excuse you.
Entertainment wellness center.
Uh-huh.
Wellness through entertainment center.
Yeah. You and Josh should play The Witness. I think you would enjoy it. It's like that
summer.
Right level of pretentiousness for you guys.
We'll get a PS4 in New York.
Yeah, there you go.
Wow, the right level of pretentious. That's great.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's like deep,
I'm not great at puzzle games. I have distinct memories freshman year of college of playing Portal, Portal 2, and being really bad.
Uh-huh.
I was really, really, really bad.
Mm-hmm.
Mostly just because, like, that was a game where it's like, I couldn't operate the controls the way I wanted to.
Yeah.
It's
I
like,
don't think this has particularly complicated controls.
Well, that's great. I love that. I love pretentious games with easy controls.
Yeah.
Those are my favorite.
You have to, the puzzles are challenging, but not like...
You know what this is also reminding me of? And you're not going to remember this game. Do you remember the Hobbit game?
No.
Okay. I'm going to have to look this up and post it on the Instagram or something. But I remember there being a puzzle that was impossible in the Hobbit game. I'm going to look it up now while we're talking. So, like, try to talk about something.
Game.
No, I remember there being this puzzle that was horrible, that took us forever, that was like game-breaking puzzle.
I really don't remember. Again, this was the time, like nowadays it's hard to find, unless you buy it right away, right? Then you have to figure out things for yourself. But now in the age of the internet, there's walkthroughs for everything. So like you can't get stuck forever on something unless you're like
Doesn't
a purist.
somebody have to figure it out?
Well, somebody has to figure it out, yeah. But there's somebody out there who's very good at video games.
See, does this ring a bell?
No.
Emma doesn't
That looks
recognize.
terrifying.
Well, yeah, it's a 2003 platform action adventure video game.
It looks terrifying.
Okay. I won't look it up now, but there was one puzzle that was awful. I unless it's on the Wikipedia page.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, I'm sure this game is better than The Hobbit.
Yeah, I think so.
Like
Just a little. Just a maybe.
it has Wikipedia describes it as some rudimentary puzzle aspects. Clearly, they didn't play the game.
Or maybe you were just young and dumb, Mel.
I remember it being with Dad, and
Maybe Dad was young and dumb.
wow, hi Dad.
You were younger once. And dumber, probably.
Yeah. Alright, I'm not gonna look at this now. It would be more fun if you were playing The Witness and then you discovered you were Bilbo Baggins.
That would not be fun. That would be weird and betraying. Or maybe for some people it would be really cool. Just because they want to be Bilbo Baggins
No,
and everything.
I talked about this in a recent side quest. I don't know, all the weeks have blurred together now. About how I wish video games had movies that were in any way significant.
Oh, yeah.
Like, there were just a bunch of Hobbit movies. I guess not just anymore. It's probably been a couple of years, but it feels like there were just some Hobbit movies.
They made 3 Hobbit movies out of, like, a children's book, but that, whatever.
They were apparently good, although I didn't love the first one. Anyway, my point is, I wish that video games had movies that weren't just, like, boring retreads of the video game with a little bit of punching people.
Mm-hmm.
I wish that there were... Did I say video games had movies? I wish movies had video games.
Yeah.
I wish that they had video games that were interesting and added to the story and added to the experience in their own right.
Yeah.
And wouldn't that be cool if The Hobbit had a game that was all puzzles? Puzzles in the Shire with Bilbo.
That's funny. The Ratchet and Clank reboot is technically based off the movie.
There was a Ratchet and Clank movie?
Yeah, a really bad one.
That's why I didn't know.
Well, like, it's like, it's like animated and it was not good. And yet somehow the game is similar to the movie, but so much better in every way. But they make jokes about it. They're like, the game based off the movie based off the game.
I love that.
Yeah.
So meta.
Because I think they
So
released
deep.
it sort of in conjunction with each other. The game and the movie.
I'm still thinking about, like, a puzzle island. We'd have zip lines. We'd have trust falls.
Trust falls? No, I hate trust falls.
You have to trust fall off a cliff.
I don't trust anyone.
It'd be like, jump off this cliff. You could die, or there could be a trampoline on the bottom that'll bounce you to the ultimate treasure.
No. I don't think that would work.
Okay, well, it's not your video game, a wellness for entertainment for wellness.
Well,
Party
it's
fun
called a
center.
wellness center, so
No, it's not. It's called a wellness for entertainment for wellness, party fun center.
Okay, but it has the word wellness in it. So I think that it's safe to assume that if you jumped off a cliff, you wouldn't die.
No, it's more
because
about...
that's sort of against the mission statement.
I was doing wellness more as like, wellness. Like, you have to think.
Okay.
Like,
Oh.
wellness.
You have to say that. You have to say that when you see people.
Wellness for entertainment center. An entertainment for wellness.
Yeah.
Party fun place.
You have to make sure you say that so you don't get sued.
We'll mostly call it the party fun place.
It's the party fun place. Oh, man.
It'd be great. No, I want to play this game now.
Sorry.
Wow. Like, really rude. I was talking about the Party Fun Center, and you're, like, stretching and yawning.
Sorry.
It's like, are you not excited for
I'm
party
not.
and fun?
I'm not excited for the party and fun.
And we'll only play the Talk This theme song.
No.
Over and over.
No.
Over and over and over again.
It probably would not be a lot of party fun.
We'll have, like, a Mario section where you literally have to be Mario.
Oh, man.
Wouldn't that be fun? Does that already exist? I hope that already exists.
I don't know.
Like a Mario Run fitness center.
I don't know.
And you have to, like, avoid people just as Goombas.
You have to jump on them.
We have to get really small people.
To smash their heads in with your feet.
We've gotten really far away from The Witness.
We have, yeah.
That's okay. That happens almost every episode,
Yeah.
I feel like. One game really gets the short shrift.
Yeah, sorry,
Short
The Witness.
shrift?
Short shrift.
Yeah. What is a shrift?
I don't know.
That's a puzzle.
Yeah.
What if one of the puzzles is, like, define shrift?
Yeah.
I'd turn off the game.
But The Witness also has, like, a twist ending.
Oh, I don't know what it is.
Yeah. I feel like, Jonathan Blow is very interested in, like, circles or circular sort of things.
Mm-hmm.
You know? Because both of them sort of have to do with, like, going back. You know? Not just
going back
go
in time?
too far into it. But, or, like, just, like, you know, going back. You know, or, like, and also, like, seeing things from a different angle. Those are I think his two main themes in his games.
Just like
sort of
with
circular storylines and seeing the world from different angles.
Just like with today's podcast.
There you go.
It's today, but it's also a week from now, but it's also last week.
That's just insanity.
Whoa! Puzzle me this!
So, how would you...
You seem so excited for this last
Sorry,
segment, Emma.
I'm so sorry. This is the first day I've gotten to sleep past 5 in the morning in 2 days, so...
Okay, so how would I combine Fire Emblem and The Witness?
Yeah.
Okay. You've got a whole party who's going around solving puzzles. A party fun place, if you will. No, you've got a whole party. I love that. The people that come in groups, we'll call them parties.
Okay.
They'll be like, parties!
Okay.
Anyway, away from my very successful business plan. Yeah, you have a whole party that has to go around solving these puzzles, and certain people are better at solving certain puzzles, but you have to decide who to bring on certain puzzle-solving missions. And if you bring the wrong person, like, you're screwed. It's going to take you forever to solve that puzzle, as opposed to if you brought the thief, he could have just picked the lock. But if you didn't, you have to do this whole complicated thing to pick the lock.
That's interesting, I guess.
There's also support conversations.
There's also support conversation.
Like, there have to be. Also, there's some kind of arbitrary trio of things that are better at things than other things. Things.
Yeah. I'm sort of, like, putting them together and getting Firewatch a little bit, except more puzzly and...
Give me a recap of Firewatch.
Firewatch is a game, you're like a dude and you're like watching over your Firewatch for a park, right?
Okay.
And the only other person that you really talk to
is over the radio.
is over the radio, is like your supervisor or something, or coworker. I'm not entirely sure. So like, but it's the same. It's like a first-person walk-around game, but less puzzly than The Witness.
It's really like oppressively lonely.
Yeah.
Depressing. Dark.
I don't know. But
Which doesn't
like,
feel like the
in
heart
terms
of Fire
of
Emblem.
mechanics, I'm thinking like, you know, you've got like the walk around element and you've got like the support conversation element.
Well, I was just thinking of keep talking and no one. Is it no one or nobody? We did a whole episode on this.
Keep talking and no one explodes. Yeah. I think.
It's a lot like that. It's got a puzzle, but you've got a group of people and it's all about relationships. It's just the real world.
Or maybe I think it's nobody explodes. Whatever, it means the same thing.
Keep talking, there's a bomb.
That's a catchier title.
They should have called. That's what we'll call it at the party fun place.
Keep talking, there's bomb.
Patent pending.
Yeah.
The patent pending party fun place.
Wow. Yep.
No, the patent pending party people place.
Party people place?
Yeah, I want another P.
Party people fun place?
No, take out the fun.
Fun.
No fun. No fun.
There's no fun here.
Unless it's spelled with a PH. Fun.
Fun place.
Maybe I would do that.
Oh, man.
The fun place.
Yeah.
But no, it's like you have a group. You have to have a group. It has to be multiplayer co-op. That's how we work in the Fire Emblem thing.
Do you know that Fire Emblem is not multiplayer co-op?
Right, but like you have a lot of characters in Fire Emblem, and so I'm taking the characters and I'm putting them outside the game.
Okay.
And so you have to work together. This is Little Big Planet.
Yeah.
Oops.
That's Little Big Planet. Except more philosophical. Not that Little Big Planet.
Little Big Planet tries really hard to be really
they have
philosophical.
That really weird opening every time with the real people. Like,
yeah.
Ideas, dreams. Where did they go? It's like, wow.
To the cloud.
Mind blown.
No, if it was like Little Big Planet, but like very serious.
Yeah.
I'd be about that. Also, your characters have to have more relationships, though. The Sackboys just sort of like grab onto each other and punch each other.
Yeah, that's true.
You know? It's like the extent of your relationship is like you screwing with the other people that you're playing with.
Yeah. Yeah, it might work. It might be interesting to do like a, like the local co-op version and then the online co-op version, which is harder. Because like...
Oh, because you have to crowdsource the...
But you can't talk to each other. You just have to figure it out yourselves, right?
Right, because there's like no dialogue. There's no talking in this game, right?
Well, there's audio logs that you can listen to.
Okay,
like you find audio logs throughout, and most of them are just like quotes, or like people telling you stories. I was reading one. There's like some 10-minute audio log about like sort of like a Sisyphus equivalent story.
That's very that's very in keeping with the myth of Sisyphus.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
What if there was an impossible puzzle at the end of the game, and it is you as Sisyphus, and you just roll the block up forever? But one must imagine Sisyphus happy. As Camus
Let's
tells
not
us.
talk about the end of the game.
Oh, see, I don't know anything about the end of the game, but
I was just thinking that there, like, the whole game itself is sort of a, well, maybe it's, whatever.
if we're saying he's obsessed with circles, I can make my theory that it's probably Sisyphean.
Yeah, a little bit Sisyphean.
Wow, I don't have...
Sisyphanian.
I gotta get my philosopher consult on whether it's Sisyphean.
Sisyphoniculus.
The Sisyphoniculus fun place.
No. You can't call it that.
We will have a section in the party people.
Sisyphus's fun place.
Fun, fatty fun.
I feel like that would be something out of, like, the Mythomania books.
Yeah, maybe.
Sisyphus's fun place.
And you just roll the block up forever. Yeah. But this is a wellness center, so it'll be good exercise.
There you go.
Yeah, caught it that time, so people can, you know, not be duped.
Not be fooled.
Here, keep talking for a minute while we don't have our hat today. Because Emma...
Oh, I do. I have it.
You do?
I brought them in bags.
Alright. I'll keep talking on my own here while Emma grabs our plastic bag game stuff. So this has been another episode of Talk This. It's dangerous to podcast alone. Thanks for tuning in with us this lovely day. It's a Sunday when it's posted, but you could be listening any day of the week, and we're grateful for it any day of the week.
Share us.
Yeah, tell your friends. We love new listeners. We're on Instagram. We always share daily trivia on Instagram, so tune in for some great trivia. Sometimes it's game-related to the stuff that we've talked about in our episodes, but sometimes it's just trivia that we like about video games. We also share memes and stuff, because, you know, it's
There's
Instagram.
There's a quality picture of us up on our Instagram
right now.
We won't spoil it, because we won't tell you, because you have to go look for yourself.
But I will say, Avengers Academy was the inspiration.
Avengers Nursery School.
Wow.
Oh, Weirdo would play that.
Wow, we gotta cut that out of the episode so no one steals our idea.
Yeah.
It's like a Looney Tunes thing.
TM.
Patent pending. We'll have it at the wellness center.
The wellness center. For your babies to play.
Yeah. Gyms have that.
Avengers.
Gyms have, like, play places for the kids.
They're assigned an Avenger, and then they have to role play with each other.
Wow.
Really
Team building.
Creativity training for your babies.
Plus, they're gonna get... Wow. You'll see the picture. They're gonna get shredded.
They're gonna get shredded.
Shredded wheat.
Okay, so you normally pick the new game, right?
Is this the new or the old game?
The new game.
So we're gonna pick games out of, not a hat, but 2 plastic bags that you can hear. For our next episode in 2 weeks. Alright, so I'm gonna go ahead and... If you can hear me picking. Maybe. I hope you can. Wow, I'm really having a hard time.
Wow, what are you doing?
Sorry. Alright, our new game for our next episode is Hyper Light Drifter.
Cool. That'll be fun.
That sounds like a fun thing for in the wellness center.
Oh yeah, you'll have to look it up because I'm sure you don't know anything about it.
It's our diet plan.
The
Hyper Light Drifter.
Okay, so you have to hold open the old.
Get so hyper light you'll drift in the wind.
Wow, that's a good slogan for a diet, actually.
Right?
Except not. That's like an unhealthy slogan for a diet, but also catchy.
Well, it's not a wellness center. It's a wellness center.
And our old game is Oregon Trail.
Wow. That's another great diet plan, honestly. You have died of dysentery. Is it dysentery or is it dysentery?
I don't know.
You're dead either way.
It's probably dysentery because my charming personality quirk is mispronouncing words.
Wow, we've reached support level C here today, folks. We've argued over
in the
pronunciation
next support,
twice.
She will teach me how to pronounce things. And then I will have a C support with somebody else where I continue to mispronounce things.
Yeah, that's fine. You only do it with me.
Yeah.
All right. So, I said this already, but I'll say it again because I really am thankful. Thanks for tuning in to this 7th episode of Talk This.
Yeah, it's our 7th episode.
Wow. Well, 7th full episode.
Yeah, well, side quests. I put in the description of side quests, not episode, in this not episode. That's what I put. So, they don't count, really.
Check us out on Instagram, check us out on Twitter, check us out on Facebook. Sometimes we have bonus content on Facebook that doesn't go up anywhere else. So, follow us on Facebook. Shoot us an email. Check out our website at talkthispodcast.com. We have fact sheets. We have all sorts of fun stuff up there for all of our games. And if you have any ideas for games you'd like to have us put in the hat, or things you'd like to hear us talk about for the side quests.
Because right now, the only suggestion we have for new games is Hello Kitty Roller Rescue. So if you don't want that to be in the hat,
do we
send us some more suggestions.
Barbie Team Gymnastics?
Yes, we do have Barbie Team Gymnastics.
Oh, man. I was thinking about that one.
So please send us suggestions for both old and new games. And, yeah, that's our episode.
Stay warm, everybody. We're about to go enjoy the Miami. It's a beautiful day here in Miami.
It's brunch time.
Heck yeah. Time for some brunch.
We hope you have a good day, too.
Bye.